What's going on, my PT peeps, my Walking family, my fighters? I'm One-Eye Bry, also known as PT. Don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about Real Ones with Jon Bernthal, his YouTube channel. Photo credit, info credit to those guys. Definitely check out the channel. I'll put the link to this video his video from Real Ones with Jon Bernthal in the description. Spoiler warning a little bit, but I want to talk about the conversation that Lori, Sarah Wayne Callies, and Shane, Jon Bernthal, had on Real Ones with Jon Bernthal. Now, Shane and Lori are big parts of the Walking Dead universe in the first 3 seasons, and Shane's carryover to different seasons is pretty good. Shane was kind of the villain, the first villain of the show. Love him or not, Shane was important. So was Lori. But they talk about Frank Darabont. It's not Frank Darabont, it's Darabont. He was the showrunner in the first season and half of the second season when he was fired in half of the second season. And for those who don't know, Frank Darabont has done a lot of different things. He's involved with The Shawshank Redemption, The Mist, and he's a great producer, writer, just whatever he does for movies and he's been connected with, I've enjoyed what he's done. Now, that being said, I don't know exactly why Frank was fired from AMC and The Walking Dead, talking about potentially, allegedly hostile emails. And it was a toxic environment for stuff. I don't know, but he was fired in the second season, halfway through. I think he was there for the first 6 episodes of the 13 episodes. Now, he was the director, producer, something to do with Stephen King's The Mist. And it's interesting because that's Dale, that's Andrea, Carol's in the movie, Morales is in the movie, the Tank Walker is in the movie, and to the left of Andrea is Thomas Jane. If you don't know who Thomas Jane is, he's been in some movies, he's been in The Punisher, and he was actually the first choice to play Rick Grimes. He does look like Comic Rick, but he turned it down to go do HBO's series Hung, and the rest is history. But Frank Darabont has laid some great groundwork and was really responsible for the early success of the series. The first season is great. The second season is a bit slow and it's kind of all over the place at times, but it's one of those things where it is what it is, and luckily the show survived to come up on its 11th and final season. But there was a trial going through that Frank was suing them, and I don't know if it was finished yet or not, but I think he wants $280 million or something around there is what I read. Don't know if it's still ongoing or if it's been settled just yet, but Frank does deserve a lot of credit for the success of The Walking Dead, especially early on, in my opinion. But to have it last as long as it has, it's really not that important for Frank Darabont in the first season and a half, right? But they talk about Sarah Wayne Callies and Jon Bernthal and Dale, Jeffrey DeMunn. They talked about Frank being fired. And it's pretty cool. Sarah talks about Stephen Yeun, who played Glenn, called her. And he said that he heard that, Frank was being fired. And Sarah was like, nah, don't worry about it. I know these things. This is going to happen. Turns out it was true. And so Sarah, John, and Jeff DeMunn, not Jeffrey D. Morgan, he wasn't there yet, they all wanted Frank to stay. And they were basically going to be like, look, we're not going to work unless you bring him back. Sarah talks about going to Robert Kirkman and saying, look, you need to hire this person back and this is that, and basically was sticking up for Frank. And she said the camp was divided. Team Frank and team going forward without Frank. And it's kind of interesting to see, and a lot of people they really think Frank Darabont really should have never left the show, and the show hasn't been the same since then. But like I said, we'll talk about that in a little bit, my take on it. But he is responsible for the early success, and I think the show would have been drastically different if he stayed on, good, bad, and indifferent. And they talk about how much money they would have made if they stayed on the show. Well, Shane was going to die at the farm, which is what he was written for. Lori was probably going to die at the prison, and she did, based on the comics. So let's talk about Frank Darabont a little bit more. So basically, he was the showrunner for season 1 and half of season 2. And for the show to succeed from then on, really has nothing to do with Frank Darabont, right? Scott Gimple was the showrunner from season 4 to season 8. And I know Gimple gets a bad rap, and I'm not here to stick up for him, but my favorite season is season 6. He was the showrunner for that. Seasons 4, 5, and 6 were the peak of the Walking Dead franchise. The peak. He was the showrunner, not Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont had nothing to do with the show after half of the second season. Glenn Mazzara came in the third season, maybe in the second half into the third season, and did crazy stuff. Kirkman has just been the guy. I don't know how involved he's actually been besides cashing big checks, being part of this universe. Gimple became the COO of all things Walking Dead after season 8. I think Angela Kang has done a great job since season 9, 10, and now 11. Kirkman is laughing all the way to the bank. But it's interesting that they're bringing up Frank Darabont. That was so long ago. Imagine talking about season 2 of The Walking Dead and we're on season 11, right? And don't get me wrong, I have mad respect for Frank Darabont and all that he's done, but we have to give credit where credit's due. Gimple, Kirkman, Nicotero, a bunch of people, Gale Ann Hurd, who stayed with the show, really reinvented the show and made it work. And yeah, they've made some bad decisions with Rick and Carl and just, a lot of different things. But overall, I still enjoy the Walking Dead universe, and check out Real Ones with Jon Bernthal. I'll put the link in the description of this video. Check out his channel. It's really cool, and I have much love and respect for Jon Bernthal after meeting him on the cruise, the Walker Stalker cruise, and his son was there, and it was just cool to see and meet him. He's just a real down-to-earth guy, and I'll never forget it. And it was a great experience. But let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Stay safe, and as always, tell them Daryl.
Yo, we love you.